Hey everyone, it's Lane with Tim's Nation. I am here today with a heavy heart to introduce my Imperial Agents Army. The DeathWatch are no more. I'm trying to bring them back in some small way. We'll give them a try here. So I am running Imperial Agents today. Yeah, the book is not good, but I'm going to try a few things. First of all, as far as a fluffy lore background story perspective, I think it's fun that today I'll be bringing DeathWatch with a few Sisters units and a Grey Knight squad and an Imperial Knight. I love the whole mixed feel of that. Just again from a lore and story standpoint, when these units lose their specific detachment rules from the armies they come from, it really brings their power level down quite a bit. So it definitely has an effect. They don't feel very strong. Sisters without their miracle dice are a lot less sistery. So anyways, the plan today is I'm going to play into DJ's weird all-character Necron list. Now, I could have obviously done some things to, list Taylor into what I was playing against. I could have brought a Vindicare assassin to just shoot down a Necron character every turn. But I didn't want to do that sort of thing. This is kind of my list for building something that might have some competitive viability taking it to an RTT. For example, I've got DeathWatch veterans that are in Rhinos. If I knew I was going against an all-character list, I probably wouldn't bring the Rhinos. I wouldn't feel like I would need that much protection from their shooting. We'll see how they play today. But yeah, the idea is I am taking the Imperialis Navy detachment. The Xenos Hunter one, I like the Imperial Navy detachment a little bit better. I like its overall rule and its army rule, and some of the stratagems are a lot of fun. Before I actually get to the list, I'm just going to bring that out here. This is the second time I've played them, so I'm going to have to check my notes quite a bit. So I appreciate you guys, sticking with me here. So this is Imperial Agents. The detachment is Imperialis Fleet. I think everybody just refers to it as the Navy, but it's actually called Imperialis Fleet. So the detachment rule, first of all, Agents of the Imperium do not have an army rule. Yeah, like if you play Space Marines, you have Oath of Moment. That's the army rule. And then you get your detachment rule or your specifics. Maybe it's Blood Angels or Gladius or used to be Deathwatch, that sort of thing. But Imperial Agents does not have an army rule. Its army rule is that you can take them as allies, which is not a rule that benefits them when they're a standalone army. Nice. But the detachment rule for Imperialis Fleet is at all costs. There are two different things in each battle round. At the start of my command phase, though, I can select one of the following to apply. So I can either do eliminate at all costs. This is simple. I just pick one of my opponent's units, and all of my army, all my Imperial Agents army, so everything except for the Knight, except for the Imperial Knight I'm bringing, I'll get +1 to hit, shooting and fighting. So just +1 to hit against one target, kind of like an Oath of Moment. If I don't want to do that, I have another one I can choose called Acquire at All Costs. I pick an objective marker somewhere on the battlefield, and then all of my Imperial Agent units, when they're on that, get +1 leadership, +1 OC, and a 5-up invuln, which is kind of cool. It just means if I really want to hold an objective, it better allows me to do that. Last time I played, I forgot this rule several times, so I need to make sure I remind DJ to remind me that I need to make sure I'm choosing one of these things. So +1 to hit, or against one unit, or that extra ability to hold an objective. It's either +1 OC, +1 leadership, and the 5-up invuln. So kind of fun there. I'm going to just go through a couple of the stratagems before I get to the list, just to make sure to give you guys. Oh, as far as enhancements, I'm only doing one enhancement today. The one enhancement I'm doing is combat landers. What this does is I put it on a Voidfarer character, which will be the Navigator. I have the Navigator in the list here. And it just allows him to pick 3 Voidfarer units from the army, and those units gain the Deep Strike ability. Basically, it's just 3 Voidsmen at arms, just the little squads of 5 guys plus a dog. those guys will have deep strike. So at 50 points apiece, that gives me 3 50-point units that I can just deep strike in for scoring secondaries. I don't remember what they do as far as their shooting. It's probably nothing good. It's all a bunch of strength 4, AP 0, 1 damage stuff. The dog's AP 0 attacks, with its bite. But it does give me the ability to use some cheap small units and deep strike them and use them to score some secondaries. So obviously that really only applies to turn 2 and 3, but we'll see if I can use that to my advantage here today. Then, yeah, that's the only enhancement. The only other enhancement I considered using was one where I put on a character and then I can infiltrate 3 units, infantry units, except not the Terminators. I think that you can't do it to the Terminators. And that's a pretty strong one, too. Imagine being able to infiltrate 3 10-man squads of DeathWatch veterans. It's pretty powerful to have them mid-table at the start of turn 1. Although I found that, against certain armies, they might get shut up if I go second. So I still just prefer to put them in rhinos and put them on the table ready to come out of rhinos. So let's see our stratagems. So Violent Acquisition is 2 CP, and I can use it either in the shooting or fight phase. And it gives one of my infantry units sustained hits, lance, and ignores cover. So in the shooting phase, it's going to give them ignore cover and sustained hits 1. In the fight phase, if I use it, it's going to give them sustained hits 1 and lance. It's 2 CP, so it's kind of expensive. But now the Watchmaster does reduce this cost of a strat by 1 CP rather than doing the Vect thing. So I might be able to use it on some DeathWatch here. Next, Masters of the Void. You can set up an Agents of the Imperium unit from your army that is arriving from strategic this turn and can be set up in your opponent's deployment zone. I'm not going to use this. I've forgotten about it immediately as I read it. Close Quarters Barrage. This is only for Voidfarers. Voidfarers would be like the Imperial Breachers or the Voidsmen at Arms. I tried playing with the Imperial Breachers a little bit. They just didn't have enough firepower to make it worth it, even though they can, if they're targeting something on an objective, they can reroll wounds. So I'm not really going to do this. It improves the strength and AP by 1 on their guns, but they're already strength 4, AP 0, so it doesn't help them that much. Emperor's Will. A unit can shoot when it advanced or fell back. That's kind of handy. Displacer Field. This one I like. I'm going to be using this today. We'll see. It's in my opponent's shooting phase. When they shoot one of my infantry units, I use this strat. It gives my unit a 4-up invuln for the phase. And then after that attacking unit has resolved its attacks, I can move them 6 inches, which I can use to move them defensively or offensively. I can move them further away from my opponent or closer. There's nothing, some of these extra moves, in the shooting phase, they say you have to go closer to your nearest enemy unit. This does not say that. It just says, yeah, as long as it's not within engagement range, I can just move it anywhere I want to, 6 inches. So that's kind of fun. I'm definitely going to try to use that today. And then the last one is Selfless Bodyguard. If DJ attacks me with some kind of precision weapon, I can spend this strat every time an attack targets my my character in the unit. I roll a d6 on a 2-up. It goes onto one of the guys rather than the character. So if there's any, I don't remember if he's got any precision stuff or not, but if he does, I can kind of shut that down. So that's it for the strats. Let's go through the list. All right, so our characters today in this Imperialis fleet, Agents of the Imperium list, we've got an Eversor Assassin for 110 points. The Eversor, I played him once. He is wild. He's 6 attacks, hits on 2s, anti-infantry 3-up, and he's sustained 3. Once per game, he can add 3 attacks to that. And when he does that, add 3 attacks, he also adds 6 inches to his movement. So his movement goes from 9 inches to 15. He can advance and charge. So his threat range at any given time is 15 inches plus 3d6. And he slaps really hard into infantry because his attacks are anti-infantry 3-up. But they're AP 2 damage, so he can shred some guys. Next, we do have the Navigator. This is one with the Deep Strike Deny. I didn't really need the Deep Strike deny in this game, but I needed an Imperial Voidfarer's character to give the enhancement to for the deep striking other ones, so the combat landers. So that's what I got him. So he has a 12-inch Deep Strike Deny on his model, And then also in the shooting phase, if there's an enemy unit within 12 inches of him in line of sight, he can point at them, make them take a battle shock test at -2. If they fail, they take 3 mortal wounds. I'm sorry, it's -2 if they're an infantry unit. So he can do some shenanigans with there and might be able to put some mortal wounds on some infantry units. And then we've got 2 Watchmasters. The Watchmasters changed in that they no longer give off the Vect aura if they're the Warlord. Instead, they just basically have the Space Marine Captain rule where once per battle round, one of these guys can make a strat costing 1 less CP, but they still give their units the ability to advance, fall back, shoot, and charge, and do all the things. And they still have the Vigil Spear, which slaps pretty well in combat. 6 attacks hitting on 2, strength 6, AP 2, D3 damage, and lance. Then we've got 2 10-mans of the DeathWatch kill teams. These only changed a little bit in that I can no longer take 4 frag cannons in a 10-man. It has to be 2 frag cannons and 2 Infernus heavy bolters. Other than that, they're still the same. They have a few extra loadout options. Like you can take a Black Shield, which is one guy that's got twin-linked power sword, basically. I don't have him in here today just because I wanted the extra Storm Shield, just to get an extra invuln save on the unit. But yeah, so 2 10-mans of the DeathWatch kill teams. They will be in Imperial Rhinos. The Rhinos are the same as regular Space Marine Rhinos, except they can basically take any Imperial agents infantry in there besides assassins and no Terminators. Also in dedicated transports, I have a Sisters of Battle Immolator. So this is a little bit cheaper. It's only 100 points as opposed to, I think, 115 in Sisters Armies. But of course, it does not have access to Miracle Dice. It's got a Hunter Killer Missile, a Storm Bolter, it's got a Heavy Bolter, and then in this one's got twin-linked multi-meltas. And after it shoots, it picks one of the targets that it hits, and the rest of the army can ignore cover while shooting at that. It also can split a squad of Sisters in half. This is dedicated transport, so I do have to have some Sisters in it. Next, we've got a 5-man squad of Grey Knight Terminators. These are my own models. I'm not borrowing any from DJ. I had a Grey Knight army many years ago, and I kept 5 of the old metal Terminators because I just love them. So these are my Terminators. They have an incinerator. They've got the Narthinium, the Narthiminium. It brings back 1 dead Grey Knight Terminator every turn. They also have the banner that lets them, gives them OC3, or OC2. They are OC2, gets them up to OC3. I have 1 dinky itty little squad of Inquisitorial Agents. These guys are just 50 points. It's 6 guys, 5 regular guys, and 1 gun servitor. The gun servitor has a multi-melt on them. I just had enough points to squeeze these guys in, so they're in here. I've got a 100-point Sister of Battle squad. Again, these sisters don't have Miracle Dice, so they have a Cherub, which lets them once per game, instead of getting an extra Miracle Dice once per game, it just gives them a free CP reroll, even if it's been used even if you've already done a CP reroll in this phase. So it's one little area they give them a little more, allow them to make up for the lack of Miracle Dice. But this squad's just going to have a multi-melta, a regular melta, and the Simulacrum, which just gives them +1 leadership, I guess, or improves their leadership by 1, and then Sister's Superior has a power sword. Then I've got 3 Voidsmen at Arms units. These are just 5 little dudes, just 5 toughness 3, 1 wound guys with a 4-up armor, and 1 little dog. I'm sorry, I don't have any dogs. I don't have any dog models. We're using some proxies here, so we're using some Necromunda House Orlock guys. To represent the dog, I put an Imperial priest with a chainsword on each of these units because I have these old models. They represent the dog's ability to bite but not shoot. So just bear with me. I'm not buying all dogs right now. And their ability is that every time they shoot the closest target, they have lethal hits. Neat. Their guns are all just a bunch of little las guns, basically. And 1 guy has a rotor cannon that's 6 shots, but it hits on 5s. Neat. Really, they're just here to drop in, score some points, and then immediately die in response. And then the big boy. I'm allying in Canis Rex today. I don't have an actual Canis Rex model. I've got some bits that I'm working on to be able to convert this guy to give him the Canis Rex gun. So, but he is just an Imperial Knight, but I'm using him as Canis Rex today. So Canis Rex it allies into a lot of Imperial armies pretty well. I'm not going to go into the details of all his weapons here, but you know, he basically gets sustained on 5-ups on all of his shooting and all of his fighting attacks. He's got a good strike and sweep profile. He's got a good gun that either has a blast or a more focused or a less focused attack. It is D6 shots, so it's kind of risky. His abilities, like I said, one of his abilities is always sustains on 5-ups. And the other is that once per turn, not battle round, but once per turn, he can use a strat for free. And he's not in the Imperial Agents or Imperial Knights detachment, so he can't use like rotate ion shields or anything like that. But he can use a lot of core strats. For example, if he's being shot in my turn, he can use reroll a save for free. He can also do a free tank shock, that sort of thing, or a free reroll on a charge. Some charge dice. So he definitely has the ability to use that both offensively and defensively. So that's the list. A nice mix of all your favorite Imperial Inquisition-related units. A little Grey Knights, a little bit of Sisters, a little bit of Deathwatch, a little Imperial Knights, a few just regular little Inquisition dudes. We'll see how they play today. I just want to really looking to use some of those strats and get some play out of them. And really, all I want is for Canis Rex to just punch the Silent King right in his dumb face and knock him right off the planet. So we'll see if that happens. Follow me over to the battle report. Let's see how they do.